Hey guys, this is Andrew Darlington with Veritas Risk Management. We do all sorts of insurance, home, auto, business, life, pretty much anything that ends in insurance. But today what we're talking about is the workers' compensation exemption in Tennessee. I'm going to share my screen here and show you we'll kind of walk you through this. So here we go. Okay. This is the dangers of workers' compensation exemption forms in Tennessee. The way it's always worked up to this point in time is you have a general contractor, then you have a subcontractor, and then employees, or a general contractor has the employees. Or you have situations you have a general contractor and then a sub under him, and it goes down for forever. Or you even have guys that are trying to skirt the law right now, and there'll be a general contractor and then they'll call all their employees subcontractors, or actually have true subcontractors. And the way the laws worked up to this point is that if someone gets injured on a job, you've got workers' compensation to protect you. So in this situation, an employee gets injured, the claim stops with the subcontractor. General contractor doesn't have to worry about it because workers' comp's going to protect him, and he can move on from there. The same is true if the subcontractor doesn't have workers' comp. It does flow up to the general contractor. General contractor's workers' comp kicks in, and he's then protected. In this case where subcontractors are involved, same thing happens. General contractor, subcontractor's employee gets injured. One subcontractor doesn't have coverage. Buck stops at the subcontractor there. In the situation with all these, again, buck stops at the general contractor and everybody's happy. Again, the situation goes up to the general contractor. Now, workers' compensation, what it basically does, it prevents your employees from suing you, except in situations of gross negligence. So for the most part, if you have someone that gets injured at work, whether they shoot themselves with a nail gun, fall off a roof, whatever, they're going to collect workers' comp benefits, but they cannot sue you as an employer. So you're protected. Worst case, your experience mod's going to go up, your premium's going to go up, but your assets are safe. Workers' comp's basically, the employee's going to get his medical bills paid, he's going to get paid for his lost wages, and in death claims, the estate or heirs are going to get a settlement. Because of that, the employers are protected from being sued by their employee if they're injured at work. So it's a this for that. Employees get this, employers get that. Now, your company assets are safe. Like I said, the most that can be paid is whatever's under the workers' comp law. Workers' comp company has to pay for it. So your company assets are safe. And most importantly, your personal assets are safe. Now, the game changed with the Tennessee exemption. Beforehand, like we talked about, what's happening is in these situations, everyone on the job is considered basically an employee of the general contractor. If he brings on subs to a job site, it's basically would be considered employees from a workers' comp standpoint. So he's responsible, he pays. That's what the courts have continued to say repeatedly throughout this. Now, again, the game changed with the exemption. What it did is this. And I'm going to go and show you the exemption form. I hope you can see this on my screen. Let's see, where's my form? Okay, so and here's the exemption form. They'll go here. Everybody knows that initial workers' compensation exemption registration. Here's where it is. This is the biggie. By checking this box, I test that I meet all the requirements for workers' compensation exemption under TCA 50-6-901. I understand false statements made on the application is subject to penalties of perjury. Okay, so what they're saying is I test that all these things come out. I don't have any employees and that type of thing. And that says, by checking this box, I understand waive my rights to sue under workers' compensation law if injured on a job and have utilized workers' compensation exemption on that job. So if your employee or, subcontractor signs this and you hold it, yeah, you don't have to pay workers' comp, but he can't sue you under workers' comp law. So what does that mean? That means that you're now under statutory coverage. Okay, and so that's what that lawsuit slide shows. Okay. That means that sub can now file a lawsuit. I'm sorry about that. Can now file a lawsuit against you. So you have a general contractor. and a subcontractor. Subcontractor gets injured. He can sue the subcontractor who was controlling him on the job, and he can sue the general contractor. So a situation's this. A general contractor's got a job. He hires a subcontractor to do roofing work for him, we'll say, or electrical work. It doesn't matter, any of them. That guy, instead of having employees, he hires these subcontractors to come work. All these folks, the subcontractor and the subcontractors and everybody else, has the exemption. Well, one of the guys gets electrocuted on the job site, or one of the guys falls off of a roof or something like that. He now can't collect workers' comp benefits. So what does that do? It frees him up to sue. Okay, you got a general contractor in this situation. Any of his subs, if they get injured on a job, can sue him if he's using that exemption form in order to keep from having to pay workers' comp benefits. So what does that mean? Who knows? They're not capped, so they can sue you for $1 million. They can sue you for $2 million. They can sue you for $5 million. Heck, they can sue you for $10 million. There's no cap. Remember, on workers' comp, there's a cap. They can only collect what the state allows, and the workers' compensation policy is going to pay 100% of that. So you don't have to worry about it. Bottom line is, you're at the mercy of a judge and a jury. So if they deem you negligent on that job site, you're going to pay up. If they don't deem you negligent, hey, you're lucky. You got out of it, but you're still going to have attorney's costs that are going to kick in there. That's the problem with using these exemption forms, is that you've got the ability to get sued for who knows how much money, and it's only up to a judge and a jury whether you're going to win or not. So hope that answers your questions about this, and I hope you'll really, really, really take a hard look on whether you're going to allow anyone on your job site to be able to have an exemption form. If you need to get a hold of us, our website is www.veritasrm.com, as in veritasriskmanagement.com. Or you're welcome to call our office at 423-292-4142 and answer any questions that you have. We appreciate your time and look forward to more videos in the future. Quick update on what we talked about last time with those with the workers' comp exemption, how that can really hurt you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and review the PowerPoint I did last time, and then add the I-15 form. That's a form that you can use that can prevent tort liability to you by allowing you to bring your subs under your own workers' comp, even if they already have that exemption. And I'm going to show you that real quick. So here, let me share my screen with you, and we will show this. Okay, so you got me. It's again, this is Andrew Darlington with Veritas. We do home, auto, business, life, work comp, health, commercial property, anything that ends insurance, we do. Here's our website, veritasrm.com. We'll have more of these videos on there in our blog section. So if you need those, we'll continue to do those as time goes on. Now, so the dangers of workers' compensation exemption forms, we talked about that last time, so I'm going to get through it real quick. If you need any more information, just click on the other blog that talks more about this. But as you remember, if you're a general contractor, you hire subs, and then they may hire employees, or you may be a GC and the sub hires subs, or you just may hire the subs yourself and they have employees. Under workers' comp law, any of these people, as long as they're underneath you, you are covered, because workers' comp says that anybody that works on your job, you're responsible for the workers' comp. The problem that you get into, and then there you go, the claim stops where workers' comp shows up. The problem you get into is when you have someone who has signed the exemption form, and that creates the issue on there. Okay, what workers' comp does, it prevents your employees from suing you except in situations of gross negligence. Employees or subs on the job, it prevents them from doing that. Okay, what happens? Your company's assets are safe and your assets are safe in those situations. But the game changed with the exemption. We talked about how there's a tort liability. You can have a lawsuit. General contractor, subcontractor can sue the other sub, or they can sue the GC. Each one, again, can sue the general contractor when they have that exemption in place. And you're just asking for it because there's no limit on it. There's no cap. You can get sued for whatever they are. You're at the mercy of the judge and jury. But we do have a form called an I-15 form. Okay, that I-15 form looks like this. This is one of the forms. It's the combined form I-15, I-17 form, but it's a general contractor acceptance or termination of coverage. What this allows is the general contractor, the viewers hereby notify that the undersigned general contractor elects to provide workers' compensation under the Tennessee Workers' Comp law to the subcontractor named below. So what has happened in Mr. General Contractor, you are covering the sub under your workers' comp. What that does is that prevents them from coming back and suing you under tort, what we just got through talking about, where they can't sue you anymore. Again, if you kind of wonder what we're talking about here, go back to the other blog and it explains that in a little more detail. The way this thing works is the general contractor signs this. He's got to sign it and date it. The sub has to sign and date it. Now, this needs to go back to the state because it's got to be on file with the state. Okay. Now, if you ever want to terminate this, you can, but you fill out another one and then you fill it out and send that in, and that will terminate it. But what happens here is this. In these situations, well, here, let me show you some of the law. This is actual law here. It's Tennessee Code 50-6-902. And it says, all construction service providers shall be required to carry workers' compensation on themselves, period. There's only a couple areas here. And one of those is a subcontractor engaged in the construction industry under contract to a GC engaged in the construction industry may elect to be covered under any policy of workers' compensation insurance, insuring the general contractor upon written request of the general contractor, regardless of whether such subcontractor is on the registry established by this part, which is the workers' comp registry. Okay, so what this does is it protects the GC. It's really protecting the sub too, because I mean, if one of these guys gets hurt, falls out on a job, they're not going to have anything. I mean, if they're a paraplegic, how are they going to get money? How are they going to eat? How are they going to provide for their family? At least if they have workers' comp, they can provide for their family. What I always hear is, hey, I can't compete. If I got to pay workers' comp, this is true. But we can do a good job of giving you things that you can take to your potential customers to show them why it pays to use a contractor who's doing the right thing, following the law, and carrying these coverages. So that's kind of the crux behind this. But what happens is if you are using the I-15 form, you got the general contractor. And right now, everybody's using the exemption form, and the general contractor is trying to find them, and he can't find anybody with workers' comp. Well, it's a simple solution. All he's got to do is say, hey, I need you to sign the I-15. If they sign the I-15, there's no more lawsuit. General contractor is going to pay the workers' comp, but what he can do is he can charge that to the sub. He can say, okay, listen, if you're not going to carry workers' comp, you want to keep your exemption, everybody else is allowing you to do that, it's fine. But you're going to sign the I-15 form. I'm going to cover you under workers' comp, and we're good to go. That way the GC is protected. He's not going to get in trouble. The subcontractor has protection, and we're good to go. It's also going to work like this as well. The general contractor can have the subcontractor file the form. Now notice, this is a subcontractor. He's still going to be able to sue the sub who originally hired him, but he won't be able to sue the general contractor. Guys, this is two situations where this is going to come up. One, a guy just doesn't have workers' comp. If a guy just doesn't have workers' comp and he's on the exemption, then just have that guy doing it. Maybe a tile guy that comes and does work for you, or a landscape guy, someone that where he can do the work by himself, and he just doesn't want to pay for the workers' comp, so he just does the exemption form. You can do this for him. That's one situation. The other situation, which is can be a big deal too, is the guy actually may have workers' comp, but he's chosen to exempt himself out of his own workers' comp. You can tell that on the certificate, and we'll do another video. They'll say what you need to look for when you get certificates from your subcontractors so that you can make sure you're protected the proper way. But if he's exempted himself from the workers' comp and he's on the job, then you've got to make sure that he signs that I-15, or again, he's going to be able to sue you, and you don't have any protection of workers' comp, and he can sue you for whatever dollar amount that a jury will award him. In those situations, you may have a guy, and it's a big company, and the guy who's an owner and on the exemption list, he may be a guy and all he does is sit in the office all day or just play golf all day. Who knows? But he's never on the job site. Don't worry about that because he's never on the job site. Not a big deal. This is for the guy who comes to your job site. He is an employee. He works on the job alongside his guys, and there's a chance he may get injured. You just don't want to take that chance. So use that I-15 form. It's a great form. It can really protect you out. It is going to cost a little more money. But what we're going at here is we really want to make sure that you're protected the right way. Again, we do all sorts of home, auto, life, business, work comp, property, everything. Anything that ends insurance. Our website's there, veritasrm.com, 423-292-4142 is our phone number. Call us anytime. We'd love to talk to you. Let me stop sharing this. Get back there. If there's a certain subject you want us to blog on, you want us to do some research on, figure it out, and get you the information, more than likely we already have that. We can get it done out. Right to the next one we're going to do is going to be on certificates of insurance. I know that's a big question. A lot of my contractors have what needs to go on there, why, and that type of thing. What's the best way to protect them? We're going to do that. But if there's anything else you need to let us know. Thanks for taking the time to watch it, and give us some feedback so we know how to help you guys better.